Forever chemicals are showing up in umbilical cords, zombie worms have vanished from the sea, and melting ice just released a 5,000-year-old superbug resistant to modern antibiotics. These are recent discoveries that have scientists terrified. New research shows people are coming into the world carrying dozens of man-made chemicals straight from the womb. Scientists ran some of the most detailed scans ever on umbilical cord samples from people born between 2003 and 2006. They found 42 different forever chemicals. Many of these are barely studied, and scientists still don't know exactly what all of them do. These forever chemicals are in everything from non-stick pans to stain-resistant clothes and firefighting foam. They earn the nickname because they never really leave your body. Early exposure like this can affect growth, immune response, and metabolism later in life, and this is happening before a person even takes their first breath, meaning these chemicals are baked in from day one. And since they're still widely used today, new generations are getting the same exposure. What kind of effect is this going to have on us decades from now? We can't say for sure, but scientists are racing to figure that out. Scientists around the world are seriously worried about a new climate record that just dropped for 2025. A massive international research team led by Li Chang at the Institute of Atmospheric Physics, Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing, found that the ocean absorbed more heat last year than ever before since modern measurements began. This analysis included data from more than 50 scientists across 31 research institutions in Asia, Europe, and North America. The oceans act like Earth's giant heat sponge. They soak up extra warmth trapped by greenhouse gases. In 2025, it rose higher than it ever has in recorded history. Part of the reason this matters so much is that oceans store heat for a long time, heat that doesn't just disappear during a cold winter. The effects are already showing up around the planet. Warmer ocean water changes storm patterns, fuels more intense rainfall and hurricanes, and plays a role in rising sea levels as the water expands. Scientists studying space rocks near Earth just dropped a sobering reality check. There are thousands of potentially dangerous asteroids out there that we haven't even found yet, and we don't have a ready way to stop them if one suddenly heads toward our planet. At a major scientific conference in Arizona, Dr. Kelly Fast, who leads NASA's planetary defense efforts, made it clear the situation isn't just theoretical, saying that what keeps her up at night are the asteroids they still don't know about. What does she mean by that, though, exactly? Well, scientists estimate there are about 25,000 near-Earth asteroids at sizes large enough to wipe out an entire city if they hit land. So far, astronomers have only tracked about 40% of them. That means roughly 15,000 rocks big enough to cause serious destruction could be flying through space without us knowing where they are. These aren't the giant planet killers you see in movies. Thankfully, those massive asteroids are rare and mostly tracked already. This warning is about mid-sized rocks. You know, the ones that are only about the size of a football stadium. And yeah, it sounds big, but they're actually small enough to slip past current detection systems. There is some progress. NASA and partners plan to launch a new space telescope, the Near-Earth Object Surveyor, which will use heat-detecting sensors to spot dark, hard-to-see asteroids. The goal is to find upward of 90% of these dangerous objects within about a decade. Right now, Dr. Fast and other planetary defense experts admit that, although we can theoretically, change an asteroid's path, there's no fully ready system on standby today to deflect one that just comes out of nowhere. Scientists drilling deep into an ice cave in Romania recently found something that didn't just survive frozen for thousands of years, it resisted modern medicine. An ice that's been undisturbed for around 5,000 years, researchers pulled out a strain of bacteria called Psychrobacter SC65A3. When they tested it in the lab, they found it was resistant to 10 antibiotics that we still use today. Lead researcher Dr. Christina Percaria said, quote, "The Psychrobacter SC65A3 bacterial strain shows resistance to multiple modern antibiotics and carries over 100 resistance-related genes. The 10 antibiotics we found resistance to are widely used in oral and injectable therapies used to treat a range of serious bacterial infections in clinical practice. If melting ice releases these microbes, these genes could spread to modern bacteria, adding to the global challenge antibiotic resistance. End quote. And speaking of ice melting, scientists are warning that parts of the planet are inching toward tipping points that could change the climate in ways that are really hard, if not possible, to reverse. They're looking at massive ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica, Arctic sea ice, and huge ocean currents, all systems that, if pushed too far, can trigger chain reactions and make the world hotter and less stable. Researchers like William Ripple from Oregon State University and Johan Rockström from the Potsdam Institute say some of these systems are closer to flipping than we realize. For example, melting ice exposes darker land or ocean underneath, which then absorbs more heat and melts even more ice. It's a loop that just feeds itself and accelerates the warming. If these feedbacks keep building, Earth could settle into this hotter, more extreme state, one that humans haven't experienced in 11,000 years. For 10 years, researchers left whale bones on the seafloor, expecting creatures called osedacs, also known as zombie worms, to show up. Zombie worms eat bones, but when they checked, not a single worm had colonized the skeletons. Zombie worms are strange, even by ocean standards. They have no mouth, no gut, and no anus. They grow root-like tubes to digest nutrients from bones with the help of bacteria. They're really important for recycling nutrients in the deep sea. Fabio Dalia from Ocean Networks Canada believes the worm's disappearance is linked to low oxygen levels, which are becoming more common in deep waters. Craig Smith from the University of Hawaii added, "It looks like the OMZ expansion, which is a consequence of ocean warming, will be bad news for these amazing whale fall and woodfall ecosystems." End quote. Now, OMZ stands for Oxygen Minimum Zones, and they're growing, making it harder for specialized deep-sea species like zombie worms to survive. Since early 2023, the world has been in the middle of the biggest coral bleaching event on record. Scientists say about 84% of the planet's reefs have been affected, which is higher than any previous global event. Coral bleaching happens when water just gets too warm. Tiny algae living in the coral get stressed and they leave, taking the coral's color with them. Without algae, the coral turns white and becomes a lot weaker, more prone to disease and death. Marine scientist Melanie McField said some areas that used to have nearly half their living coral now have barely any. She called it unprecedented in decades of watching reefs. This is happening across the globe, from the Pacific to the Caribbean, the Red Sea, and Florida. Reefs support a quarter of all marine species and billions of people worldwide, so losing them at this scale, it's a bit of a problem. Next, let's talk about mirror image life. This doesn't exist in nature today, but a group of top researchers is warning that if it's ever created, it could be dangerous in ways we don't fully understand. But what am I talking about? Well, all life on Earth, plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, they all use molecules that are one-handed orientation, kind of like your left hand is different from your right. Mirror image life would use the opposite versions of these molecules, meaning every basic component of life would be flipped like a reflection in a mirror. In December 2024, a group of 38 scientists, including 2 Nobel Prize winners, published a report warning about the risks of actually making these mirror organisms in the lab. They said that mirror microbes, for example mirror bacteria, could potentially, quote, escape immune defenses and invade natural ecosystems, leading to pervasive lethal infections in a substantial fraction of plant and animal species, including humans. That exact phrase comes straight from their risk assessment. They also said that because mirror bacteria would be so different from anything we've ever encountered, our immune systems might not recognize or fight them at all. Right now, no one's made a living mirror cell. Even many researchers who were exploring the idea have stopped, and dozens of biotechnology experts have signed a statement agreeing that mirror life shouldn't be created unless there's clear evidence it's safe. But yeah, whatever. I'm sure it's just not gonna stop anybody. The Doomsday Clock is a symbolic countdown created by the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists to show how close humanity is to disaster. Midnight means global catastrophe. Scientists adjust it each year based on things like nuclear weapons, climate change, and other big risks. In January 2025, the clock sat at 90 seconds to midnight. By January 2026, it moved even closer, 1 minute and 42 seconds. Closest it's ever been since its 78-year history. Here's why some people pay attention to this symbolic clock. It is based on real measurable risks that scientists track year after year. By moving the hands closer, the bulletin is saying that the state of the world, which involves everything from politics to technology and the environment, is more precarious now than at almost any time since the Cold War. That was heavy. Let's close out with something a little less, apocalyptic. There's a 2,200-year-old burial site in China that even top archaeologists are nervously avoiding cracking open, and that says a lot. It's the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor who united all of China back in ancient times. You've almost certainly heard about the nearby life-size army of clay warriors, terracotta army discovered in the 70s, but the emperor's actual tomb chamber itself has never been opened by scientists. So, why the hesitation? There are a few real serious reasons. First, ancient historians wrote that the tomb might have been built with mechanical defenses and poison inside, like traps and rivers of liquid mercury, meant to protect it from intruders. Modern soil samples near the site show higher than expected mercury levels, which makes researchers worry that something hazardous could be inside. Second, even without traps, opening the chamber could just ruin whatever is inside. When the terracotta warriors were first unearthed, their once bright colors just flaked off as soon as they met the air, so they're being extra cautious. Right now, scientists are using tools like ground-penetrating scans and remote sensing to study what's down there without disturbing it. But until there's a way to safely explore the inside, the tomb is going to have to stay sealed. With all that said, I've been your host, James, and I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next one.